is the Town Council annual report. There is no legislative requirement to produce an annual report, but we've done so since time immemorial. The production, the format has remained unchanged for many years. The last report was 28 A5 pages of information plus a front and back cover. This, of course, is election year, and in considering the content of this year's report, there's an argument against listing the names and contact details of all the current councillors, remembering, of course, that they represent wards which, in a few weeks' time, will be defunct. And without having considered too deeply any other content, bearing in mind the budget savings targets that the Council has already agreed, an option does exist to reduce the cost of the report by providing information in a different format. And the prices that you've got there in paragraph 3.5 are prices for a 28-page booklet, as we've done previously, or a single sheet of A3, folded A4, which would give you 8 sides of A5, or a double sheet of A3, folded A4, which would give you 16 sides of A5. So even if you take the double side of A3, you've got to lose 12 pages of information somewhere along the line. C3 Imaging have provided us with a first-class service. They've got all the necessary artwork and templates, so that will reduce the typesetting costs. Whichever format members wish to approve, retaining the current format will be less time-consuming. 8,500 copies distributed to every household in the parish, placed in significant locations. The distribution company, who have done work for us in the past, I know there's been some criticism about them, and what I intend to do with them, if the council agrees to appoint them, is to provide them with clearly indicated up-to-date roadmaps so they can see exactly what it is that's required. The target timescale for the production and delivery obviously will be affected by the Easter holiday and bank holiday, and of course the election period, which, as I've said before, doesn't end until 10 o'clock on election day, the 2nd of May. But it is still aimed to have delivery completed by the end of May. Adequate provision exists within the existing approved budget estimates for the total cost of a booklet of a report in the same format as we had before. Should members resolve to change the format, of course, then appropriate savings would be made. As I said before, there's no legal requirement for it. It is a requirement of the Local Council Award Scheme Quality Award. The award, again, is not prescriptive as to the extent or style of an annual report. You just need to publish one. But it does give us the opportunity to showcase the services and achievements of the Town Council in 2018-19. So the recommendations are to note the report, to give direction on the format, to give direction and approve the awarding of the contract to C3 Imaging, and the paragraph reference is paragraph 3.5, and to approve the award of the contract for distribution of the report as outlined in paragraph 3.7. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Ken?
Yeah, first things first, George. Recommendation D.
Yeah.
You quote the sum of £680 as outlined in paragraph 37.
Yeah.
There isn't any 680 in?
No, there isn't. The figures, as I say, damn cut and paste. It's either £701.25 or £510 if you decide to go for a single sheet.
680.
Okay. Any more questions, Bob?
I'm quite happy with the report the way it's been.
Sorry, can I ask the direction then as to which format we're talking about?
Yeah, I suggest we go in terms of what we've always done. Because basically, above everything else, it's still advertising for the Town Council.
Yeah.
What we do.
Fits in a letterbox.
And it fits in a letterbox.
Yes.
Just for that proposal, that's it.
Okay, so we'll take
I
5.
know that. I'm not proposing we put members' photographs in.
Yeah, just a bit. you don't really need it. I mean, what's important on the report is an opportunity for the mayor to actually tell the community what the council's doing acting about, and the town manager for that matter. So without the photographs, it doesn't really not the same thing. And there's no reason why, but there is, we've only prepared now, there's no reason why we have it distributed within there. We can actually have it the day further end, we can actually have it distributed then. Because it will still be before our first meeting with the town council for the next municipal year.
Yeah, as I've said there, the intention is, obviously we won't start it on the 11th, till when Perda ends. You know, following the decision of the council, we'll start work on it next week, so that we're in a position as early as possible after the election to start the distribution. But the intention is to have it all done and boxed off by the end of May.
It's after the election then.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it further anyway. We couldn't do it further anyway.
It makes sense, and it's more simple just to follow the normal process.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll propose that we note the report, go with what we've always done, give it to C3 imaging, and LDS to the distribution.
Okay. Somebody second it? Second it, okay. Thank you for that.
Grant applications.
Go back now to,
Town Council grant applications, Chair.
yes,
Report starts on page 52. You'll see on page 54 a summary of the two applications. The first one is from Halewood Junior Sports Association. Members are well aware that there is a friendship agreement going back a number of years where Halewood JSA hosts a biennial visit by young people and their families from Ballinsloe in County Galway and play a series of football matches over 3 or 4 days. This year's visit is due to take place between the 15th and the 18th of April, and this application is for financial assistance towards the cost. For audit and transparency purposes, I have asked the association to complete the general grant application, which they have done and which you'll see attached starting on page 55. And despite references to the £500 limit, members may recall when they set the budget, or when they ratified the budget on the 18th of May last year, members agreed an indicative allocation of £1,000 for the Halewood Junior Sports Association, which is available for an award such should the council agree. Desire and Inspire is the second applicant. This is a registered charity, registered in Halewood, and although they provide services borough-wide, there is no service at the minute in Halewood that they provide. And the application is to help provide a resource for young people with disabilities, to provide advice and assistance, organising programmes of physical education and other activities as a way of developing capacity, capability and promoting social inclusion. It was established about 4 years ago, and as I say, although they've got no provision in Halewood, this application seeks to provide financial support for a weekly provision, for which they've already got 30 or 40 committed people signed up. So the recommendations are, as usual, to consider the applications and to improve them. The outcome of the application of the matrix is shown on page 54. The only thing I would say is that any grant to the Junior Sports Association that you decide upon will be allocated against the £1,000 that I mentioned before, that's been nominally allocated against their name, and any money that you decide to award to Desire and Inspire will come from the General Grants Fund, of which there's currently £700 left. Happy to take any questions, Jeff.
questions? Anybody?
On the second one, just to clarify, I know those really now, they're not charities, but they're actually companies. It's very paid employment, isn't it? You know, very well. I'm going to say that, you know, many,
No.
but also good.
Question,
Good thing.
answer question 9. Does the organisation or group have any paid staff? No.
And nothing wrong with it. I was just going to say, there's some
Yeah.
things, you get these things up these days.
Yeah.
Just issue an income and
Yeah.
nothing for it.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
The thing with balance law is a big success. And your trustees, it's fantastic. Everybody knows gets over it. And you know, we should build it, it's not knocking down. I support it.
And I know Councillor Finneran has declared an interest in it, but how many people have we talked about coming over this year?
It's now gone up to 100 people. It started off at 20, it started off 23 years ago, and then there was 36 came in. And just rows and rows.
Not to give the kids next year, then.
Very good, Councillor.
I'll propose that again next year.
Just to add to Bob and Alan's comments and something Alan alluded to before, one of the things that Design Inspire offer in their package is training and around hate crimes against disabled people, which unfortunately is something that is increasing. The legislation around hate crime against disabled people is very new, so a lot of people don't understand necessarily when they've been a victim of a disability hate crime. So I think that would be something useful for the town council to host, if that's a possibility, and advertise it both to the public and our service users who will benefit from that information.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody make a proposal. Accepting that?
Yeah.
Okay. I do.
Sorry, Chair, just as a point of clarification, given the range of awards that the council could make, what is the proposal in terms of money? Yes. Yeah. Full amount for both.
Yeah. Okay. Application for free and secondary use of our facility.
Again, another relatively straightforward report summarised on page 76 there. The first one is actually a charity fundraiser for Desire and Inspire, who we just talked about before, due to be held on Saturday 27th of April. And I can have discussions with the organisers of that in relation to the comment that you just made, Councillor. And the second one is Rosemont Football Club, who want to have their presentation at Holly's Hall and on Hilton Race Recreation Ground on Saturday the 8th. I've mentioned before about Design and Inspire. Rosemont, a well-established regular users of our facilities, and have used our facilities for their presentation on a number of occasions. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Any questions?
You just give us a load of money to take for half an hour.
Don't think we do that.
I'll second Alan's proposal.
Okay. Next item.
Schedule of accounts, I think page 80, and it's a supplemental one there. All speak for themselves effectively. There are some items on there, relatively small. The one in the middle for data centre hosting for hosting our email address, that's for actually for the next financial year. But all of those things are next year's expenditure we take into account in relation to it. Happy to take any questions.
Barbara?
It's for me.
No, you're not too late. And given that you've raised it, I'll mention something now that I wasn't actually going to raise until the meeting in April. I had some information passed to me from the from the Lancashire Association of Local Councils in relation to clarification around whether councillors, although they have to register, are exempt from paying a fee. Now, I haven't actually validated it all yet because of the discussion with the council now.
Clarification, because that was the same advice I got. It's like if you phoning High Court at the time, and High Court told me that information was wrong.
Right,
you do have to pay the fee. There is no exempt. You can't go. If you've been through it yourself, I have. There is no option to say, let me do it for free. No, No.
Yeah.
And there's a link on the website, you can find it, where it does have separate guidance for town councils. I think the confusion comes from when we were originally supposed to have data protection officers.
Yeah.
We were going to be exempt, but we would have had to employ a DPO at the cost of £20,000 a year. So the trade-off was, you don't have to have a DPO, but only councillors who need to can register, and those who don't. And the reason for that was to protect the smaller parishes. Well, some of the smaller parishes only have £200 in the bank account. It bankrupt them if all the councillors don't have to register. So that was their way of working around it. As far as I'm aware, that's still the case.
My understanding of clarification from the monitoring officer is this clarification, it doesn't absolve the requirement for members to register.
Yeah.
What it does absolve them from is the requirement to pay a fee. A slightly different thing. But taking a point what Councillor Hamilton said, I will clarify that.
Yeah.
So to answer your question directly, no, you haven't.
What I was told with ICO with regards to that, Robin, what it meant was you don't have to pay a fee as in the way the borough do it.
Yeah.
If you're a borough councillor, the borough register all their councillors en masse. The difference with the town council is obviously if there's only 3 or 4 councillors that want to get registered, then you have to do it individually, but there's nothing stopping the town council or parish council paying you that back. So in that respect, you're not paying a fee because you won't get it returned. And I think that's what you mean, is the town councils have the same ability. I don't know how they do it, because according to ICO, you can't do it unless you have a DPO. So,
to answer your question, David, no, you're not too late.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The email would be sufficient. Did you get an email confirming when you did it?
No, but I'm going to phone.
Yeah, you should have got an email.
Chase it up.
Alan,
Again, I think the town council, I'm registered because of the council, but again, the town council has the duty of the town council itself to register the councils.
And that was exactly what the council agreed either at the last meeting or the meeting before when it was bought. But the decision was it would be done immediately after the elections.
okay.
And that's what we'll do.
We have, anybody happy?
Reports and conferences.
Reports from conferences, representative bodies. Have you received any verbal reports to the town manager members present at the conferences? Is there any reports committee? Edna?
Tomorrow. Is it tomorrow?
No.
I gave my apologies for the last one. You gave my apologies.
St Mary's Day Centre. St Mary's Day Centre. I have been into St Mary's Day Centre and had cups of tea with them. They're doing quite well. They're very grateful for the £100 that we paid for the old people to go on a trip. That's it. Merseyside Association of Local Councils is Council Hamilton.
Can I roll in the National Association into it and just do one report just to save time?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had the Merseyside Association meeting at the last one before the AGM. It was all right, the attendance at it, but going into an election, the numbers dwindled down. Stuff that we discussed was similar to stuff we're discussing here. Going into elections now with regards to Halewood East, there's other plans and other councils having similar stuff going on with smaller developments in their areas and how we can help to build some sort of bridges between the smaller councils and the borough and the wider sort of government area, which we've been working on sort of over the last 6 months. National Association, the thing of consequence there that people should be aware of is that the changes with regards to code of conduct and with regards to having to actually, it's now been from, if I get this right, from this current election, the code of conduct will now be enforceable for parish and town councils. Previously it was very much of, can you try not to do that? Now it will be up to the monitoring office. As I understand it in the legislation, the monitoring office will now actually be able to take the same sort of action we can take to borough councillors, town and parish. The reason for that is when town and parish councils were given the power of competence, a lot of stuff that had been taken away years ago wasn't brought back with that power of competence. And as a lot of newer councils are coming on, some of them are absolutely huge. And we've got another one set up very quickly, which is 130,000 residents. That's a town council. So clearly, they are taking part in a lot of devolution deals at the moment, where you've got big municipal authorities being formed, and they're dropping stuff on town councils that they normally wouldn't have to deal with. But with that, government has decided that they should be have to abide more closely with code of conduct and ethics, etc., and they should be enforceable, simply because of the decisions and the amounts of money they're having to deal with, which is probably not a bad thing, to be perfectly honest. Some of the smaller parish councils are a bit, about it, so they're looking at perhaps some sort of exclusions on some of it, but certainly with the bigger councils, no, that they're absolutely set that's the way moving forward. The stuff that you alluded to with regards to DPOs and Redstone, that's all now been signed off as well. That's now gone in through primary legislation, so that's now enacted. And I think that was pretty much it. From an ALP perspective, the head of the chair of the larger councils committee sadly had to stand down. It's Kevin who presented us with the Council of the Year award. He's getting treated for cancer at the moment. He's not doing well at all, so he stood down from the larger councils committee. I spoke to him last week, and he's due to start chemotherapy this week. So I've just, been recorded in the minutes that we wish him well for a speedy recovery, because I don't know if anyone's met Kevin, but he has worked tirelessly for the last 15 years, especially for town and parish sector, in order to make it better and to make it function better, and we just wish him well.
Do you wish to tell us about what you just do the week, what you got?
It's not really a council that, I'm happy to mention it if you want.
Yeah, if you would, please.
As members around here, members of the public are aware, my son is autism. My son was one of the first children in the area to be moved on to the HCP when they came in. And as a result of that, the first one to hit down the stuff that wasn't foreseen as it progressed through the system. And one of the issues was last year when universal credit was brought in Merseyside, they hadn't factored in that working child tax credit and child benefit. There was no legislation for the crossover when one was taken away. What would traditionally happen when a young person turned 20, they would transfer from child tax credits onto ESA, or the old style ESA, and it was pretty much a paper exercise. The problem with universal credit is, in order to go on the new style ESA, it required work capability assessment to take place, which you could only have if you claim universal credit. You can't claim universal credit unless you're looking for full-time work, and you can't look for full-time work if you're in full-time education, which all these children are. Now, effectively, they think around about 750 children UK-wide. So I raised it with my local MP. I wrote to the Department of Work and Pensions. I stalked them on Twitter. I stalked them on social media until someone got back to me. And last week I was fortunate enough to be given a meeting with representatives from the Department of Work and Pensions in Parliament. I went down, met them, and they've agreed to make significant changes to the wording of universal credit with relation to children who have HCPs in place and their families who have lost between £50 and £180 per week in income to their families. And these are families that don't have money to begin with. So you can only imagine the impact it has on them. They've agreed that those families will have those payments backdated to them. We're working with them at the moment to try and decide a way forward and how to reach out to families who have gone to their job centres and been told they can't claim and then just gone home. Because how do you trace them? So we've suggested them going through the schools, finding out who's had an HCP put in place and using that method to go back and track them. Because essentially these children were faced with making the decision to leave full-time education.
Shocking.
Yeah. Or basically go into absolute poverty. That was basically the choice they were given. Absolutely unacceptable. So we're proud that we've got them, first of all, to agree to meet, and we're doubly proud that they've actually agreed to address it and do something about it. I got contact yesterday from the DWP to say that the first part of that's already been done. So these children will already be moved on to universal credit. It's now a question of getting the secondary legislation through, which they're hoping to do as a paper exercise rather than having to go through the whole parliamentary process, which will mean they can then be transferred to universal credit or can use their ESA without the need for a long capability assessment, which they shouldn't have to go through. These are children who are already in receipt of PIP and special educational needs, provision. They shouldn't have to go through the stresses of that. Their families certainly shouldn't have to go through the stresses. And it just ensures that some of the most driven, some of the kids with special education needs are some of the most driven young people you'll ever meet, and to put that on them, that you're essentially going to have to face all this as well is just unfair. So we're hopeful that over the next month, 1 to 2 months, that this will all be resolved and it will be a significant change to universal credit moving forward with regards to special educational needs. Yeah, absolutely. If anyone has anything, sorry, can I just say, this isn't as a councillor, this is just as someone that's dealing with this. I didn't do this as a councillor, but if anyone who thinks they know someone who's been caught in a similar situation and hasn't made the MP aware of it or whatever, they can either contact me, contact the Lady Eagles office or their own MP if they don't live within Gaston, Halewood. I'm happy to give them the details of the minister that I met at the DWP and give them advice on how they can take it forward. Or I'm happy to give them names and contacts at the local job centre who's dealing with our particular case. And by all means share that information, because it will not be out there for another 1 to 2 months until the legislation's gone through. And in my experience, the job centre's not exactly proactive in going out and explaining this to people.
When you go through the Knowsley terms, you have an organisation behind you.
Yeah, no problem, I'll speak to anyone. I don't mind.
Okay, thank you for that. Next thing, Cooperative Councils Innovation Network. Ken?
Yeah, nothing at the moment. The next meeting is scheduled for June.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Correspondence?
Yeah.
What? Culture Fest.
Yeah, there's a whole programme on the website at the moment, a draft programme for 2019 with some really good items on. Again, it's really good last year, and there's a whole bunch of
At the meeting last week, the parties, everything that she was concerned about was how the cricket one was going. Everything else is going well.
I'm concerned about the cricket match.
But he wasn't sure whether it would be okay. But I did reassure them that you've got
Yeah,
everything.
I've already had a meeting with you about that. Pardon?
If I get left, protected gear for this.
Also, everything else is all in place. The football, they've asked the football to be involved in this year. There's something on in every part of Halewood that's going to be sort of linked in with. But yeah, the programme is very good. And there's the Shakespeare play on again as well, which last year, not last year, the year before, if someone said to me, I'm going to Shakespeare, I could sort of make a very good excuse, but I did go, and to be honest, I really enjoyed it. I would never thought I would have been a Shakespeare person myself, but it was good, so I advise anyone to go along.
Thank you for that, Emma.
Okay.
Correspondence, just the planning applications on page 81.
Why don't you stay there? Just keep your mouth shut.
All domestic applications, with the exception of the one from the Archdiocese of Liverpool in relation to the removal of fencing in St Mark's School. in as much as I'm able to, happy to take any questions.
Any questions? No?
If I may, Chair, just mention one other email that I got a couple of days ago after I put this document together. Up until now, the Borough Council have always sent me a formal letter to advise me of the meeting of the group of people that talk and discuss around, or the working group that discusses members' allowances. Whether it's to say postage or what, I don't know, but I didn't receive a letter at all this year. So it's not been formally placed on an agenda. But I did receive an email saying the meeting is due to take place next week, the back end of next week. And of course this was the only meeting that I could get any information or any reference or any direction from the members about any information they want us to put to the independent remuneration panel. So I just simply asked, is there any information or any comment that you wish me to submit to be submitted to the independent remuneration panel?
Same as last year.
Same as last year, year before that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Are we going through the
Excellent. That's it.
That's it.
That's it from that. Well done. Well done.
Okay, thank you very much for attending.
Chair, can I just ask, I'm putting up on so if the members would like to come along, the matches will be played in members' room, or they would, if the presentation has to go on, will please ask you to come along and have a great evening. Yeah, it would be good if you could come along. It will be on the 17th of April, is the final, the whole day.
Thank you very much.
Oh, was that? Thanks very much. Thank you. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'll take your pen back as well. Thanks. I'll go home with a pen up on the deal otherwise. Thank you. See you later. Take care. Ciao.